This is the Uptick Newswire Stock Day Podcast, sponsored by InvestorsHangout.com and Equities.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube to stay up to date on penny stock news and interviews, public information on OTC, pink sheets, and microcap stocks from around the world, with your host, Everett Jolly.
On today's show, I'm bringing back a returning guest. He was on my show back in March 2018. We're talking no other than FLXpoint Sensor Systems, Inc. You can find them on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol FLXT. And with us today is the Vice President of Sales and Marketing, the great Paul Sexauer. Paul, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Everett. It's a pleasure to be back. Thank you for having me.
You know, how has 2018 been shaping up for FLXpoint? I saw you guys put out a big press release about a week ago. Could you bring my listeners up to speed?
Well, we've, that was one of a number of press releases throughout the year. I think it's been a very positive year, great progress in a number of key market segments, and we've tried to stay true to our focus on those key market segments. Revenue attainment and development and production of new products, we're seeing growth in all of those metrics. So I'm pretty pleased with all that we've seen. We've executed in these segments globally. The key ones have been in virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, medical devices, really exciting growth and development there. Medical IoT, industrial or Internet of Things, and where medical and VR/AR converge. Robotics has been a nice plus for us this year. Automotive, consumer electronics, and we entered this year wanting to expand our channel strategy and execute on that. And I'm happy to say we've seen some very good contribution from resellers and value-added resellers as we've put those relationships in place. So, overall for the year, the top line's been good. The second half of the year will certainly be better than the first, but we've been managing our costs appropriately. So all in all, I think it's been a good year.
Manufacturing and supply agreement that you guys just put out a press release here about, 7 or 10 days ago. What is that going to mean to your bottom line in the first quarter of 2019?
Well, it's hard to frame it out. I can't quantify it at this point. Let me talk about, our most significant accomplishments this year. One is exactly what you're asking about. The Counted relationship. It's a customer relationship we established back early in 2018. We've gone through the entire life cycle of design development, prototype development, and pre-production. And all of this is geared towards focusing on the opioid crisis. Many, if not all of your listeners and even those beyond, are very aware that this has gotten a lot of press. The president declared it a public health emergency. It affects millions of Americans. There were at least 50,000 deaths in the United States last year alone. The FDA has chimed in with mandating the use of blister packs and more advanced technologies on the delivery of and dispensing of these opioids. That was back in February. We've seen a number of bills pass in the Congress this year, both June and September, most recently September, legislation to address this growing emergency, and there are multiple states throughout the country that are also enacting their own legislation. So this has a lot of focus on it. We are an exclusive partner to Counted. They are well positioned with their other partners to deliver on the promise of this technology, which is geared to monitor opioid dispensing, provide real-time data to all the stakeholders that need to know about it, and we've signed an exclusive agreement with them initially for the next 5 years. So going back to your original question, we will be in large production mode in Q1 of 2019, and we see that continuing to increase incrementally quarter over quarter throughout the year and then year over year as the rollout, production and commercialization rollout continues for Counted. So we are extremely excited about what this means for FLXpoint, for what this means to the opioid using community, and to be a part of that certainly is something to be proud of, but also to be successful as a part of it is it just adds another dimension to that.
Your thoughts about streamlining this application? Who else would use this application?
Who else would use this application? Well, there would, any. It's designed to be a medication delivery monitoring system and dispensing monitoring system. So theoretically, it could apply to any, whether it be categorized as an opioid, any medication where monitoring and efficacy of security, medical adherence, all of those elements might apply, and it might not just be to opioids. So this could expand. It could expand to other entities. We have multiple adaptations of the key product, the blister pack product, that have been developed and are in later stages of development because there are different types of opioids that get dispensed in different ways. But we see tremendous growth in this area for us. Beyond the opioid and Counted relationship, we also see continued growth in the VR/AR space. We have some tremendous relationships globally with entities such as Manus VR and others that we've talked about in past press releases. And also, as we've talked about in those releases, the B2B and the B2C adoption of VR/AR technologies were expected to grow at different rates. The B2B has been more rapid, and that has played out in 2018. 2019 holds a lot more promise for the B2C side and continued growth, maybe even at a higher rate in the B2B space. So, if I were to crystallize two key areas for us in the year, it would be medical devices, certainly the Counted relationship, and then VR/AR.
My guest today is Paul Sexauer. He is the Vice President of Sales and Marketing. FLXpoint Sensor Systems is the company that we're highlighting here today on Stock Day. You can find them on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol FLXT. Let me ask you this, Paul, while I got you here. We're closing out 2018. What you're looking to 2019, and what are some of the biggest developments that are going to happen here in the first and second quarter of 2019?
Well, we've already elaborated on Counted. I think many of our long-time stockholders are familiar with Hemaband and the relationship we've had with them. I think we're going to see a significant contribution and growth in the Hemaband relationship through the end of this year and into next year. I think consumer electronics will play a key role for us in 2019. When I say consumer electronics, I'm focused on OLED and FOLED screen technologies that can be adapted to mobile phones, tablets, a variety of things. Peripheral devices, this could be applied as it relates to some of the glove technologies for human-machine interface, human-computer interface, and then additional areas in the VR/AR and MR space. And then lastly, another one that we haven't really talked about over the last year is in the automotive space. We have had some great interest and renewed interest in some of our technologies that address needs in the auto space, primarily in the area of occupancy classification systems, OCSs. And I'm anticipating that in 2019 we'll be able to demonstrate some tremendous success in that space as well. So if I were to isolate the three key areas or so that I see as bright spots and certainly growth areas for the company in 2019 and through the end of this year, it would be those.
If you want to learn more about their Flex bin sensor, if you will. Go to their website and go to flexpoint.com, learn more about some of their technologies. In closing, Paul, what would you like my listeners to take away from this interview?
Well, just that, I know we've been in business a long time, and we have been a design development company for many of the years that we've been here, and we continue to do design development work for people and companies. I think we've transitioned and pivoted to more of a production-oriented company, as many of those design development efforts are now commercialized and into production. And therein lies the tremendous growth that we see playing out, not only between now and the end of this year, but into 2019. And I think the sky's the limit for where we might be able to take this, as long as we stay focused on our key market segments where we know we are differentiated, where we know we can be successful. And if we do that, then everyone's going to be happy.
For my listeners, if you're looking to get on the ground floor of a technology company, look no further than FLXpoint Sensor Systems. You can find them on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol FLXT. Very undervalued here, around 8.5 cents. Paul, I want to thank you for stopping by, coming on the show today. It's always a pleasure to have you on here. Hopefully you'll come back on in 30 or 40 days, give us an update of what's going on with your company.
I look forward to that, Everett. Thank you very much.
This program is entirely sponsored and produced by Uptick Newswire, LLC, which is responsible for the content. The opinions and information provided on this program are those of the guests and those of the respective companies they represent, and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff or management of Uptick Newswire. Uptick Newswire encourages all listeners of this program to do their due diligence and research when determining investment strategies that will work for them, or to seek the assistance of an investment professional. The guests of this program may have paid for its distribution and are not directly affiliated with Uptick Newswire or this station.